There's beautiful characters, lovely characters, beautiful characters, baby boys and girls all around. And if you don't love one of them, who cares? There's 60 more of them. But I'll let you know, you're gonna love every single fucking one of them you are. You're gonna love them all. So...
It's so true.
You got really intimate there.
Well, because it's very important for you to know that, people need to know that when they're going into a show like this, it's the first time in their life they're going to consider polyamory if they have not already.
What up, everybody? Welcome to episode 47 of Annie Chatbox. My name is Cammie. You probably know this already. If I'm the one that's introducing the episode, that means I'm hosting today. And of course, I am not here alone. I'm here with my full crew, and that includes, of course, my dearest darling waifu for lifeu, Cassie.
Hey! We're moving quick, girl.
Oh my.
And, of course, we have the man of many voices and who plays many games, and that is Craig.
What up, Internet?
And, of course, last but not least, we have our resident tea-drinking Brit, Jonathan Joestar.
Hello there, and I actually do have a cup of tea with me today.
Perfect. I'm glad that's not just me horribly stereotyping. And in regards of if you would like to hear more from us, obviously than you are listening now, you can check us out at twitter.com/theanniechatbox, send us some mail at anniechatmail@gmail.com, listen to us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, or SoundCloud. If you want to donate to us because we are oh so lovable, check out our Patreon at patreon.com/anniechatbox. And welcome, dear listeners, to part 2 of our basically essentially 2017 anime year roundup, basically. So if you were listening last time, each of your hosts has picked out their own personal top 6 anime of the year, which all of us struggled with a lot, as this was a pretty strong year, I think, at least when I looked back and was trying to reflect on my list. And not just outside of that, we also have some mini awards for you that we came up with, just little specific awards to shout out some shows maybe that didn't get in our lists, but had some really good elements that we wanted to mention. And last episode, that was Craig and I who covered our top 6. Mm-hmm. So this time it's going to be Jon and Cassie, and I'm so excited to hear what they have to say. But before we get to their full lists, we're going to start you off with another mini award. And this one is called the Earworms and Eyegasms Award, aka our favorite opening and ED songs from 2017. And I am first on the list, and let me tell you guys, I spend way too much of my time just brainlessly listening to anime openings and endings, like all the time. Yep. When I do dishes a lot, my boyfriend and I turn on just playlists of openings and endings, and I like to watch Mother's Basement do What's in an OP analysis, where he analyzes how the visuals and tone of the song work really well together, what stories they're trying to tell. So I pay particularly too much attention to this element of anime. So I had a pretty hard time nailing down my picks for this year. But my best opening goes to, drumroll please, Shadow and I got a drumroll. Thank you. Goes to Shadow and Truth from Aka 13 Ku Kanatsuka. And this is the opening for the show again. Aka, I think it was 13 Territory Investigation Department, something like that. Mm-hmm. So what I will say is that if there is one thing about this show that sticks out to me today, because unfortunately it was one of the ones that kind of went by the wayside as we were overfilled with reviews at the time of the winter season when it came out, and we had to drop a couple shows. And Aka's a little bit slow and dry, and so I said, okay, well, we can drop off of Aka. But, there is appeal and intrigue into a show that's about, kind of some spying stuff and political drama. There's mystery there, and the show instantly hooks you into how cool it can be, and often is, with its opening, Shadow and Truth. When I first heard this opening, I was immediately struck in and reminded of Persona, the Persona soundtracks. Actually, probably the closest matching to Persona 5, if you've heard any of that soundtrack and that opening song. It reminds me of that a lot. It has the combination of a cool, like male rapping part and then a female singing verse. And that's something also that I really, really like to hear in openings. I don't hear it a lot. Another standout one for me is the opening to the Danganronpa anime. The first one also did this, and I loved it just as much for a very same reason. Not outside of just its very cool, like, upbeat, jazzy tones that it has. It also has a very stylized opening with, like, Sin City effect visuals, where they focus on just having everything be black and white and then one striking color. And so it just, it's so stylized and really cool, and I love it, and I can listen to it on repeat for, like, 5 hours. And so, yeah, even if you don't check out the show, I highly recommend checking out Akka's opening. Again, that's Shadow and Truth. And now we'll get over to my best ending, which is a different show, and it's called More One Night from Girls' Last Tour, or Shoujo Shumatsu Ryoko.
Ooh.
Again, I love this show so much. And honestly, if we had to do a package deal selection of choosing an opening and ED from one show, for me it would be Girls' Last Tour, because I also love the opening. And both of these songs have been, like, haunting me since the show ended. I think there's, like, a void in my heart, and so I just start listening to the music to it a lot. And More One Night is just really, really upbeat. It's sung by the voice actresses of the two main characters, which is always really cute and endearing. So it's just fun because they're singing about the traveling that they do, and it's animated by the original mangaka of the series, Tsukumizu. She fully, like, hand-drawn and animated the ending. So it's in a very, like, sketchy style, but it's, like, beautifully done. And it just shows the girls doing cute things like snowball fighting and, like, riding their tank. And then they dance during the chorus. And it's just, they dab in the opening. Yes, they do dab in the opening. Unfortunately, there is no dabbing in the ending, but it pretty much, it's just as silly, where they're dancing, and then there's a scene where one of the girls is, like, beating the other girl over the head to the beat of what they're singing. Like, it's so cute and charming and catchy, and I love it. So again, you should check that out. Definitely watch the opening too, because they dab. So, yes.
Nice.
All right. I've been talking for a long time. Cassie, let us hear your lovely picks.
Okay, so the OP that kind of stuck out the most to me this year, or one of the, because this one actually had a lot of hard time with picking the one that I really wanted the most. I know that me and Cammie both kind of side-eyed the Rakugo Shinju opening.
Oh, it's so phenomenal.
Because if I could talk about something without spoiling everything that's great about it, that would probably be here. But instead I chose something else that was also very dramatic, but also I could talk about without spoiling anything, because you already know when you're driving into Kuzuno Hankai that you're signing up for a pretty dramatic show with a lot of love triangles or pentagons, and that's what I chose. Kuzuno Hankai's opening, Usono, I think it said Hibana, but it might have been Hanabi, because it was Spark of Lies, I think. I'll have to go double check. I don't know why I copied Hibana. It might have been Habana. I'll double check. But I really liked this opening because, one, the vocals are fantastic. The singing is just very, very nice and fast and quick, and a lot of the lyrics are things that people really think about when they're in love, specifically in pained love. And there are several shots in that opening that are just kind of heart-tugging, and also moments that are very beautiful. And I think that it really framed the show in a perfect way. When I turned that, I never skipped this opening either. And I think that's a good sign that it's a good OP. If you never skip the OP, it's doing something good. Now, while I go and very quickly double check the name of it, which I should have done before now, the ending that I chose, and I don't know why I forgot about this. Cammie actually had to remind me that it even existed. Probably because I found the show so forgettable. But Sakura Quest ED, Freesia?
Oh,
I think it's Freesia.
The first
Freesia.
ED.
Yeah, the first ED.
Good one.
It's so good, and it's so pretty too. The pastels, and they're all wearing headphones and listening to music, and just it's just very chill.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I really liked it. It wasn't like solemn. It was just good. It was just a good old time. I wouldn't say a good old time. It was just a good listen. Maybe that's a better way to put it. It was very calming and really set the atmosphere for after a show that may have had lots of wacky hijinks or a lot of character growth, or at least attempted character growth. And it was a song that I actually feel like I could put on my phone and listen to and completely forget that it was in an anime at all. Just a song I could just listen to. And that was great, especially coming from a show that I really didn't care much about.
Yeah, but at least there was that good thing about it. Also, I don't know if you guys recall, but like there were a couple times in the show where they put that song in as like an insert song at a moment, and I was like, you know you're doing this to make me emotional. Like,
Okay, I wasn't wrong. It is Uso no Hibana, so it's okay, cool.
Cool.
Nice.
I had it right. I was second guessing myself for no reason.
You are always right. Trust yourself.
Believe in
Hanabi is firework also, so maybe I was just getting
too
confused with my Japanese that I still don't know much of. Yeah,
Fancy.
those are my favorites.
I definitely approve of both those choices. Claps. All right. And Craig, how about you? Tell us what you like to listen to this year.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. So, as it's been stated, trying to find a good show and with a good opener and ender to like listen to, and what Cass said, you listen to on a weekly basis and never skip the intro, even when you're binging, is proof that it's a good opener and ender. So my choice is a show that we haven't talked about today. Blood Blockade Battlefront and Beyond, aka Kekai Sensen and Beyond, often abbreviated B3 and B. This goes out to both the opening and ending for this award. So the opening is Fake Town Baby by, Cammy, you would know this band, Unison Square Garden.
Hey!
Which they've done both openings of Welcome to the Ballroom and the second opening to March Comes In Like a Lion, Season 2.
They've been everywhere this year and apparently are not stopping.
They're really good. This opening has like a perfect blend of like action and shows off each of the characters, which is interesting because at first I was like, this opening's okay, but compared to the original classic that is Blood Blockade Battlefront Blood Blockade Battlefront Season 1, Hello World by Bump of Chicken, I think that Unison Square Garden has its work cut out for him. But lo and behold, I watched it every week. I'm like, you know what? This is actually much more dynamic in its shots and how it shows off all the characters and what they do and the crazy zany adventures that Libra has to encounter in Hell Salem's Lot. And their ending, same show again, is Step Up Love by Daiko and Yasuyuki Okamura. So I looked up both of these artists. Daiko, or Doko, D-A-O-K-O, has not done much outside of this work, and Yasuyuki Okumura has only really worked on this, as well as a little title known as Space Dandy, so he sang the openers to Space Dandy Season 1 and 2. So the thing that I like about the ender of Blood Blockade is that it's got a weird sense of style, and it's all like light ups and whatnot. It's all what is it? It's zany, and again it shows the weird atmosphere of the world. In comparison to the first season they're all wearing suits and they're on a stage. This one actually just shows them all in like as weird cartoonish characters on like a computer screen and whatnot, and it's all just flashing vivid imagery, so I quite enjoyed it. And again, it was catchy, so that's the important thing we gotta bring home here. Catchy music.
Yeah. Nice. I will also say for Daoko, one thing that I think we are definitely all aware of, maybe certain other fans will be. Daoko is the vocalist featured in Me, 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 the Animator Expo
okay.
short.
How did I know?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mal did not indicate that.
Ugh, good job, Mel. Yeah. She teamed up with Teddy Lloyd for that one, and then apparently another person for this one. Her voice is so beautiful. I love it. All right. And oh, John, I'm so happy with your OP pick. So go ahead and tell us what that is.
I love it. I love it.
My OP pick is Shout.
Oh my God.
It's spelled as SH0UT, but it's Shout. Which is the second opening to the anime series Recreators.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Performed by Samano Hiroyuki.
Yeah.
TL
Sawano.
and Jimmy? I don't know how to pronounce this. Don't know how it's read.
He always syncs up with that vocalist. He does the composition, but she does all the songs. She did the first opening Gravity Wall as well.
Can I just say, I haven't seen a single episode of Recreators, but I have bumped Shout in the car and just jammed out to it because it's so good. It's so good.
I love that. I love his use of techno and her vocals. How again she just shouts. It's awesome.
Yeah. I mean both the intros. Pardon me, to Recreators are strong contenders for this for me, but Shout just wins it over just a little bit because it's sort of yeah, we're hyping up, this is the second part, this is going to get awesome, and just all the visuals as well. There's moments where what is going on the screen is timed with what's in the song, and just it's just so hype, and just this really amps you up for the series. And yeah, just I have the MP3 to this on my MP3 player. I listen to it on the way into work.
Nice.
Whenever it comes up anyway, not constantly. That's not quite that bad, but it is one of those songs where I do find myself going, let's just repeat that again a couple of times, maybe.
Yes.
Anytime it does come up. So just, yeah. So hype and so awesome. And if one of these two didn't make it on this list, that would have been a shame. But
yep.
No, I had to put it down myself, so
good man.
Can't really think of what else to say about it, so I'm going to move on to my choice for ED.
I love this one too.
Good content.
Yes.
It is Date Atashi no Hero, which is the second ending to My Hero Academia. Season 2. Boku no Hero Academia. Season 2.
Both of those enders are actually... Yes.
Yeah.
That was going to be my question now. Is this the first or the second one? Because honestly, I'm spacing on names, but
This is the one where it's got all of them dressed up as RPG characters going on.
And people want an OVA of
and
just
people
that.
want an OVA of this. Also was a contender for a gaming moment, but of the year. But
interesting.
Oh, that would have been cute. I hadn't thought about that.
For Boku no Hero are also freaking amazing. Especially
Yeah,
the second one.
I agree.
The second season, I feel.
Oh,
Also,
I love the second opener of the second season.
Also, just going to say, Date Atashi no Hero is performed by Lisa.
Oh, nice. I
I
like Lisa.
Yeah, just the song, I love it. It hypes up, and just the video to go with it. Even though it's a series, for the most part, a series of stills, it's still cute, and people love it. And yeah, it's just the whole package is just great, and I just love it. And again, another song that I've got on my MP3 player that any time it comes up, I might have it repeat a couple of times before I finally let it move on to my next song.
That's a good sign.
Nice.
Just
Oh, were you? Sorry. Did you have more to say about it?
I was just gonna say, just a lovely song, just awesome song. I just love it. So
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so. I got a little overexcited and ahead of myself. But I got the idea while we were talking about this that I'm gonna make a unlisted playlist on YouTube of all of our openings and EDs that were mentioned, and we'll put that in the description. So listeners, if you want to check them out, they will be at your availability.
Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
Again, I'm just such a nerd for openings and endings. You know. But actually, John, we are gonna round back out to you, because after this mini award, we get to hear your top 6 anime for the year! Oh my gosh, I'm so
So I
excited.
get to carry on
Yes,
talking.
queen.
Yay.
Yes.
Alright, so, I struggled so much with this list.
I'm very
Mhm.
curious.
There were, in the end, for my number, trying to whittle it down to 6 was hard. And thankfully, the final episode got translated just in time for me to actually, for it to bump it up to, like, no, this is, I belong in this spot kind of tier.
Mhm. Yeah.
And that is Fate Apocrypha
Oh, wow.
Is number 6?
as number 6.
I can see it.
There's a couple of reasons why there's reasons why I wanted it to be higher, and there's reasons why I couldn't let it, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I still love this series. And just the last episode, I don't want to spoil anything, but it just tied everything up in a nice bow.
Nice.
And gave me some nice feels
nice.
that just
Mm.
really sold me on it. And just, yeah. Great characters, and learning some more lore about characters that we had already previously met in other series, even though they didn't properly show up. Because they can't, it's different, but yeah. And just, I'm a huge Fate fanboy. I'm not gonna lie. Not gonna deny it, but yeah. So that's Fate Apocrypha for number 6.
Nice.
Fun show. Still yet to finish it myself, but it's weird how I enjoyed. I honestly went in with one intent, and I came out and I was like, you know what? It's fun to see all these characters that I would not have actually known. Like for instance, there's William Shakespeare. He just shows up, and I'm like, well, that's cool.
He shows up in the first couple of episodes.
Yeah.
But yeah. So number 5 is Land of Lustrous.
Oh, nice.
aka Hoseki no Kuni.
Whoa, I was expecting that much higher up.
Yeah, insane, to be honest.
There's a couple of again, as new as this is, I wanted to put this higher, but then
did you take a long look at it and realize, was it not as good as you wanted it to be?
No, I mean, the thing is, the story is also kind of
Disjointed.
unfinished.
Oh yeah,
That's fair.
It's clearly, I mean, spoilers, but clearly it is saying, okay, we've had this big character arc happen, and there is more to come, but are we going to get season 2? Don't know. And I think that's one of the main reasons why I had to keep this solo on this list, but I still love this series. I went into this series because it was pretty, and it was amazing to see a CG anime.
Oh yeah,
as good looking as this.
It doesn't deserve to be as good as it is. It's so sharp, dynamic. Even those camera angles.
With how many years they took on it, I feel like it does deserve to be that pretty.
Fair.
Yes.
And just like all these subtle things that I just found myself like staring at and just like, how did they do this? And like staring and just figuring it out. But
I
even beyond the visuals, I went in looking for a fun series with all these pretties going on, and I ended up coming out with something that really touched me.
Mm-hmm.
And I really felt for the characters and the things that happen.
I get that.
Some people are still watching it, so not going to say too much. But
thanks.
And definitely, and also to carry off what Craig said earlier, it has nothing to do, I think, with shows being bad or worse than other things on the list, because everything that's on your top 6 are good shows. Some things you may have just liked more or had reasons to put higher, so that's something to keep in mind. Just because something is a number 6 on a list doesn't mean it's a bad show or that it's worse than anything else. It just means in your personal opinion you like some stuff a little better. I am just surprised because of how hype you are about this show. That's the only reason I'm surprised. Good God, did you sell this to everyone? Like, everybody wanted to try it because of how much you
between you and Zach,
which is a good thing. That's a great thing, because I know that a lot of times you tend to get very, very self-conscious about your anime choices, but this one you were like, no, seriously, everybody, please? Could you please?
Just watch.
This is a series that I just want to gush with people, and I'm like, can you please watch it so I can gush, please?
It's definitely a grower. Like, I went into that show not liking it all. I thought it was super boring, and it's growing on me too. So I'd say definitely, like, people should check that show out.
So I've been trying to get people to watch it, and I have been successful at getting people to watch it. We just haven't finished watching it, so I still can't quite gush about stuff yet. But anyway, on to number 4. And in the number 4 spot for me is Little Witch Academia.
Ooh.
Oh, nice choice.
You love this.
Didn't get the attention it needed because of Netflix, unfortunately, but it's all available now, I believe.
It is.
Yeah, it has been.
So people go watch it. It's a fun series. As frustrating as some of the characters can be at times, you still gotta love them, and just that last episode is so hype.
I like it.
And just so many feels, and just it's a fun series. And I came out of it with a dumb grin on my face, and just so much to love about this series. Even taking my previous financial commitments towards this series with the because I backed the Kickstarter for it.
You backed the Kickstarter.
But yeah, so even setting that aside, I still came out loving this series. It would have been a shame if I backed it and then came out absolutely disappointed, but thankfully that wasn't the case.
Very true.
And it's made it on my top 4. So.
And full disclosure, guys, he posts fan art of this show like nonstop. Also,
all the time
in our Discord chats.
Fun fact about the show that I've actually heard from Zach is, despite it being aired on Japanese television and then being put on Netflix after the fact, apparently Netflix did front some of the bill to trigger to create the show. So it was interesting.
Cool to know about. Top 3. Oh my gosh. Top 3.
I'm hype.
Hip hype.
Number 3. I will throw this out here. Number 3 and number 2, I kind of was flip-flopping on a bit.
That happens.
Okay.
So these are kind of tied for second place, if you will.
Okay.
But
very interchangeable.
I ended up putting them in this order. So number 3 on my list is Miss Kobayashi's Maid Dragon.
Ooh, yeah. I think that's officially 3 out of 4 lists so far.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kobayashi-san Chi no Maid Dragon.
Maid Dragon.
Oh, what else is there to say about this series?
We've all gushed about it.
Listen,
We've all gushed about this series.
You can find things to say.
Yep.
Just how heartwarming this series is, and just it was something to look forward to, and just relating to the characters, and just so much about this series is just lovable. If you haven't watched it, go watch it.
That's honestly just the thing, and I think we've all done this to a degree. If you listen to us and we start to talk about it and then result in things like that
just shows, random audible noises.
Just shows it's all noises of affection of how much we love the show. Nice. I approve.
So yeah, Miss Kobayashi's Maid Dragon, definitely up there in all of our favorites, I believe.
We'll see.
But we still have one more list
It's true.
to go through. You could be surprised.
Cass could break the cycle.
I could. Will I? Probably not. But we'll find out.
Alright, so number 2 is Made in Abyss.
Yes!
Hey!
Nice!
Yes!
So many
Again,
feels.
that's another universal on all our lists, I believe.
Yep.
So far. Sweet.
I went into this series expecting one thing, and I saw the hints of something darker. And definitely just this grabbed me and was like, you need to pay attention. And I will admit I was a bit late in actually watching this.
I think I finished it before you did.
Which
is
even though it wasn't my choice. But yeah, this was such a great series to watch in the end. And I kicked myself for putting it off so late to watch it, but definitely not regretting watching the series. It was so fun and full of intrigue, and I want more.
Yes. And we'll get more.
And we will get more.
Get hype.
So yeah, get hype for that. Again, it's just gonna be gushing, because what else to say? So I'm just gonna casually move on to my number 1 spot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited.
And
yes.
Number 1
Yes.
is Boku no Hero Academia.
Oh!
Yes!
My Hero Academia.
Good.
I was wondering where it was going to be.
Yes!
I was getting so worried.
Oh.
I was so worried.
Oh my god.
This season 1 was great. Season 2 took that and cranked it up to 11.
Yep. Bones got it, all the muns.
And with a 2 core series as well, and it might have dropped off a little bit after the tournament arc, but it built up again and got really interesting and really grabbed you. And again, so many moments where I was holding my breath. It's just like, how is it gonna turn out? How is this gonna end? And yes, such a good series, and another one that anytime I bring it up, I'm just like, if you haven't watched this yet, where have you been?
Do it. Just do it.
Watch it now. So yeah, again, it just boils down to gushing and noises and
I think that might be the most aggressive, John, I've ever heard you front an anime on the podcast so far. So that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I love My Hero Academia. I love all the series I've listed on here, and there are also so many other series that I was just like, but I want to mention this too, and this, and this, and just I had
so many
12
things.
animes on my list at one point. It's like, these are all I want to list. And I was like, no, I need to cut them down. And it was actually kind of heartbreaking getting some of the things off the list I did.
Oh, I understand. I actually made my list today, and I was like, why didn't I just make this a top 10? Everyone could have just made a top 10 and talked about every anime that they love this year, and it wouldn't have been as stressful. And I apologize in advance. Maybe we can keep that in mind for next year.
There you go.
But yeah,
if you think. Yeah.
That's my top 6. Fate Apocrypha, Land of Lustrous, Little Witch Academia, Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, Maiden Abyss, and My Hero Academia. Just
very strong. Very strong list. Thank you for that. If you guys listening think that you would prefer to hear a top 10 over top 6 and would enjoy us torturing ourselves slightly less, definitely mention in the comments or email us if you think that maybe that's what we should do for next year.
Yas.
And with that being, yas is the word of the day here on
really
good old
is.
Annie chat box. And so our next mini award, which doesn't make us say yas, is the biggest ripoff award or the biggest waste of time of 2017. So this will be this one will be really fun. And I'll start us off. My biggest waste of time I felt was watching The Grimoire of Zero, or Zero Kara Hajimeru Mahou no Sho. Cassie gave me a really funny name for this show at one point.
Okay.
We were talking about the stuff we were watching, and she's like, "Oh, well, I did catch up with super bland mage girl and her merry band of bandits or something." She just
Wow.
she hit the nail on the head. I think that this show is just so underwhelmingly ordinary and generic, and there just was not anything that caught my eye. I'll usually look for a show and try to find some element of it that will maybe speak out to me. The atmosphere, the animation style, one of the characters, the way the story's being told. Nothing here just stood out to me at all.
You signed up for something, and you got a book
Yep.
of zero content.
Yes, thank you.
The first 3 episodes had so much promise, and then just dropped it all.
It shit the bed.
It just, I even remember, I don't know why, and maybe it was the mood I was in, but I was so zoned out even during our review. I was just like, Do I remember anything that really happened?
No.
No, not really. It was boring, the end.
Yeah.
And so I think that's another thing. I was debating a couple shows for my biggest ripoff. Another one of them was Knights and Magic, but I was like, you know what? There's a lot that I can talk about with Knights and Magic. You know what I can't talk about? Grimoire of Zero. So there it goes. That's where it stands for me. So yeah. That being said, Cassie, I feel like you have a lot to say about your choice.
Oh.
Okay, so listen. I didn't even have to watch all of this show. I didn't have to do it, but I did anyway.
Why? Why'd you do this to yourself?
Because I was watching it with a friend and I can't say no. But you...
Maybe you should learn better.
Listeners, you can say no. You can say no to peer pressure. You can say no to drugs. You can say no to alcohol. Anything that questions your morals. But please, dear God, say no to Koitousa. Just, it's not fun. It's not worth trying just once, no matter what your friends try and tell you. It's not worth it.
The more you know.
I will say, though, that, the show may have been a little bit more enjoyable if I had been under any kind of substance abuse whatsoever. Committing to any kind of substance abuse. If I could have been drunk or high or both watching this show, maybe I could have gotten something out of it. But there's literally just... It makes no sense. The character designs are derpy. And that's completely subjective, of course, but even the character models are off-model 98% of the time. And that's something at least we can agree on as a community for the most part. But animation style also bugged me. If that's your cup of tea, great. For me, I just thought it looked terrible, disproportionate, and just kind of an eyesore. Which sometimes the art can be forgiven if the story is good, but they didn't know what they wanted to do with the story. They had plenty of time to make him choose between each girl, and let me let you know there's no good resolution by the end. And the only good character, actually the only two good characters in the entire show, basically get the short end of the stick by the end, and no resolve comes for them either. There's a lot of things that they open up as plot points that they never address again, that they try and make you think is important. It's just a disaster. There's absolutely nothing good about this show. And if I could smite it from, let's just say this, if it had somehow passed, if I had somehow drank an entire canister of vodka the day before we did our impressions and thought, you know what would be hilarious? If I had passed this show, it would have been our first Burn It.
Oh, that's pretty
Just kill it. Just kill it with fire.
Oh,
That's
no.
all. I don't want to talk about Koi to Uso anymore. If you would like to talk to Cassie about Koi to Uso, please email.
Email us at any chat.
Please don't.
Okay. All right. That said, Craig, save us from this.
Can I save you with what is to come? Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I present to you, gamers. Never before have I thought a show to watch a show for this podcast impression/review to be homework as much as I did with this show. I'm not dogging. Now, I give you full disclosure. I'm not dogging you on this one, John. But
no. I agree. I actually agree. As much as I did have enjoyment with it, I do agree with it being on this list.
So, what can be said about this show besides it's the most misleading anime of all time? You'd think that the show is going to be about video games, and within the first episode or two, you get a concept where you're like, oh man, we get a show an anime about games, and there's Guilty Gear, and there's Persona 4 Arena, and you're like, oh man, that's cool. Are they going to play Mario Kart or something like that? Are they going to have a competitive Mario Kart, and Cass can really get into this? Oh man, it just devolves into utter chaos, and the characters are just bland, and Pine Jam, the studio, I think this is like one of their first romps into like anime, and this was based off a light novel, so I can't tell if the characters get any better or worse from there, but guys, save yourselves time. It's not worth the investment at all. Just no. Again, this could have, like, I was having discussions with Cass while it was airing. I was like, I honestly think this could be a burn it, but I didn't want to be that guy or that cruel towards it, so.
All right. Yep. That was definitely a very controversial show during its season. Not just to us, but like the anime community at large.
Oh, people were not happy.
No.
People either loved it or hated it.
I did manage to get some enjoyment out of it, but man, was it fucking frustrating. Excuse my
You mean you got enjoyment out of the first and the last episode?
I will say this, Gamers was maybe
a show?
minorly less want to kill myself than Koi to Uso. But
we're
only
putting
by
this
a
on the Richter
smidge.
scale.
Oh, I think Gamers stands far above Grimoire of Zero for me.
Whoa.
Tolerance.
But John.
And then John, yeah, go ahead.
So, I'm just gonna point out that, 3 of the, 4 anime in this section for awards have been, things that have been on my lists.
Oh, you poor bastard.
It's okay. John, it's okay.
John, why?
Koi to Uso was on mine.
Yeah, he said three out of the
3
4.
of the 4, because I'm counting the one that I'm about to mention.
Oh, okay.
And I'm gonna throw out there that this one didn't even make it past
episode 3
impressions.
Ooh.
But the reason why I ended up choosing this is because of how much hype and build up I had for this series.
Crunchy promoted it pretty hard.
How much promotion there was for it, all the good things I heard about it, and this is going to be awesome, and it's this.
What did you get, Jon?
Black Clover ended up being such a huge disappointment that all of that time I spent hyping over this just was like, can I have that time back? At least I didn't pass this. At least I didn't pass this one.
So I looked at this recently. Apparently, Black Clover, initially I thought the show would go for 13 or 12 episodes. No, it's going for 51 episodes.
Yeah, it's a
How?
shonen.
Jon's so confused.
I actually really like how you phrased that, Jon, because a lot of us pick shows that we had actually finished. But I like how you showed it as a waste of time because you were so excited for it. Like, that's actually a very different way to waste time, and I think that's a cool way of looking at it. Kind of unfortunate, but...
This, there was a couple of other series that I was putting here, but I was like, no, at least I got something out of those other series, and I did enjoy it. If Grimoire Zero hadn't been claimed, I probably would have claimed that, but it was, and I was like, okay, so what felt like the biggest waste of time and the biggest letdown? And Black Clover was just like, yep, me, I'm here.
No, it was like, I'm here!
I'm here!
Guys, it's so bad. It's so bad.
It's so bad.
Good to know.
So yeah.
Alrighty.
Anywho.
So now that we have just sat in just a series of some awful stuff. Cassie is here to show us the light, the glowing light of phenomenal series. Her top 6 series, in fact, of the year.
Yes.
Woo! Revive us, girl. Revive us.
Time. Now, I'm going to do something that the other hosts did not, and if they want to throw in some of these at the end, I will totally let them do it. But there were 2 shows that I wanted to put on my list, and I couldn't because I didn't have enough
a French
spaces.
list.
So I gave 2 little honorable mentions.
Nice.
And if we have some time at the end, you guys can probably do 1 or 2 as well. Because I thought of this and I was like, it's not fair I didn't let them do this too. So if we want to do some other honorable mentions by at the end, let's do that.
Okay.
If you guys want to think about that and ponder before the end of the show, as it were. But I cannot talk about 2017 without talking about Eromanga Sensei. Like, it's so important
It is
to
part of
me.
who you are.
And I couldn't actually put it on a top 6 list. I couldn't actually do it. I wanted to. I really
thought you
did.
should.
I was gonna put it at my number 6, but everything else just deserved it. But it's okay. It's okay. Eromanga Sensei is probably...
I think Eromanga deserves more.
It does. You see, you're the only one who
Season
understands
2.
me.
Listen, I ride the roller coaster of emotions too. And Jon was there. He saw it.
Well, he saw it, but I don't think he liked it.
I enjoyed it.
Oh, okay. Well,
See?
Hey, I watched up to like episode 10, Elf Best Girl.
You
Hello?
got to
It's
episode
true.
10, but
It's
you didn't
true.
finish 11 and 12?
Yeah, because I knew my best girl wasn't gonna win, so I was like, fuck
Okay,
this.
here's a spoiler. Nobody wins.
It's true.
That's what's
again,
that's what
fuck
makes
this.
Eromanga Sensei so much better.
Because we're going to save it for season 2.
Oh, I'm so
If it ever
excited. I
happens.
honestly just, I love that show unabashedly in the worst ways, and it's got a lot, it's got a lot going for it, for me, and opened up a little bottle of secrets that maybe the entire world didn't need to know about me, but that's fine. I'll reign the emotos. But the only other honorable mention that I want to throw out was for Zude Children. And I'll make that really fast, but it was another one of those shows this year that I watched every week, weekly.
Oh, yeah.
And it was my nice little pick-me-up, and I was especially depressed in 2017, and if this list had been longer, if there was like a number 7 or an 8, it would have been there, so I felt like I should at least mention it. That being said, let's get to my number 6 Dun 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 dun. Also known as Not Breaking the Wheel. So Maid Dragon. Miss Kobayashi's Maid Dragon. I love this show. I loved it a lot, and the only reason it's at the very bottom of my list is because everything else I just loved a teensy bit more, but that doesn't say a whole lot. I could probably rearrange this list 16 times, and I did, just for the record. At least the latter half after number 2 through 6. So it's a really good show. Obviously, it's something that all of us loved. I think we actually gave it a Love It on the show. And
I believe so.
If you haven't already seen Miss Kobayashi's Maid Dragon, there's not much else more that I could say that hasn't been said, but it's just a very good it's a feel-good time. It's something that you can sit down and just know that you are going to come out smiling most of the time. Honestly, it may have even been a little bit higher if there weren't obvious moments of disgust for me with the Shota character. Unfortunately...
You mean Lukoa? And Lukoa, too? Your best character?
Listen, I would be fine if those two characters still existed in the universe, just not together in the same room ever again.
Yeah, really. I agree.
I just felt it was extremely inappropriate, and say what you will. It didn't completely destroy Maid Dragon for me, but it at least gave me something that I could pinpoint and say, this is something I did not like. And if you want to know more about how all of us feel about Maid Dragon, you can definitely go and listen to our review we did on it earlier this year.
Yep.
That being said, at my number 5, something that honestly, if I never watched it, wouldn't have been on this list because it's something that came up and surprised me and really charmed me, and that's Recovery of an MMO Junkie.
Yes!
Good.
Oh yes, such good show, such much wow. And I believe the Japanese name is Netju no Susume or something? Netju no Susume?
You are correct.
It's a really, really fun show. It's cute. It's basically with Maid Dragon and MMO Junkie, I had to flip back and forth because I love the same things about both of them.
I can get that, yeah.
Yeah, like they both offer a very interesting twist on a very overdone kind of thing. For example, Maid Dragon, you have a harem of dragons. But they're not all pining for the same character. It's just all about people relating to each other and growing and making bonds. And you also have a female main character that the dragon Maid is interacting with. And that's one of the things I freaking love to death about Maid Dragon. And it's also something I love to fucking death about MMO Junkie, because we have a main character who's not only a female, but also a working woman.
Yeah.
And I've noticed we're getting more and more of that as the years go on. And I'm so excited, and I hope we get more of that in 2018 as well. But I did like that it shows what happens when you aren't satisfied with where you are in life, but you can find that comfort elsewhere. Whether that comes back to bite her in the butt, maybe we'll see in a season 2. But she builds an online community that really helps her love living and connecting with people, and she lost that at her job, which is not something that we see explicitly without going into spoilers, but we do know by episode 1 that she left her job, and she's trying to find something more, and it shows that you can become friends with people online. You can build bonds, romantic or otherwise, with people you may have not met anywhere else. And I think that's very special and something that's very of our generation. And I love it.
Yeah.
And we'll definitely probably talk more about that on our review of it.
Yes!
Okay, so number 4. This one was a little bit of a divider for us on the podcast. Not like people liked it or people hated it. It was more, some people loved it and some people got by. And that was Kuzuno Hankai.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I loved this show so much because I really enjoy josei and stories that aren't always the shoujo bubbles, or the shoujo bubbles are just a misnomer of things to come. I like that it gives you hope, but it also gives you the pitfalls of what happens when people interact with each other and try and build lasting relationships, romantic or otherwise. And what happens when you try and bring sex into the picture, which is something that well, has been touched on many times in many different ways. I don't think it's touched on in anime as seriously as it should be. And
I agree.
I'd love to see more of this. I'd love to see more topics like this that do happen in high school that aren't so happy and pretty and flower covered. People aren't always good. I liked having a scummy show about scummy people.
Yeah, I was gonna say the show is kind of like more down to earth and grounded, not as fantastical or upbeat. And for that, it's pretty interesting. And as you said, some of the characters are tools and assholes, and you're like, why?
But and
I did end up enjoying this series more than I was expecting to. I will throw that out there.
Oh yeah, and this is definitely not a show for everyone. If you're not somebody who can particularly stomach manipulative relationships, for example, I was talking to my boyfriend about this show when I was making my list. And I was like, "Do not watch this show." And he's like, "Why?" And I was like, "This is not for you."
Yeah.
This is just, it's just not. I read him the synopsis and he's like, yeah, no. And that's a good thing to keep in mind. But for people like me who can stomach something like that, who won't necessarily be triggered, because there's a lot of triggery things in this show, I think that it's a very mature piece and one that should be enjoyed or at least consumed if you have the stomach for it.
Yeah. Another notable thing that I would say for Kuzuno Honkai that's great is that it's a complete story.
Yep.
Like it has a wonderful conclusion. And just in the realm of anime today too, we don't always get a lot of that. So that was really, really appreciated from it.
Too true.
You're going to bring up a point of why my number one is my number one, and I'm so happy you reminded me of that. I need to discuss that because that's so true.
Oh, okay.
A lot of times we don't get an ending, and then a lot of times we get a show that's working towards an ending, and that's where my number 3 comes in, My Hero Academia.
Ooh.
So
Nice.
another example of not breaking the whale, because it was this one on all of our lists too.
I believe Craig,
so.
did you have it?
No, it was
Craig was
John.
avoiding. Oh, okay. So everybody but Craig.
Yeah, Craig
on that
avoided any sequels, I believe.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so Craig avoided the wheel.
Yep.
Yeah.
I looked at the wheel and I was like, nope, not going near that. Sorry.
What? You love My Hero Academia. Come on now.
I do love My Hero. I do. It's like when you and John decided to get into the manga, I was like, no, I refuse. I'm going to only watch it animated. So season 3, I'm very excited.
Yeah, definitely. And you know what? That's another thing to point out that I was going to mention is that this is one of those shows that I just can't. I have to know what happens. I need to read the manga because there's just so much going on here character-wise that I just... My Hero Academia and several shows in the last couple of years are subtly reminding me that as much as I look down on shonen, I'm kind of a shonen trash bag. And it's because when they do characters right in shonen shows, they're always the most delightful. And I think that that's especially true in My Hero Academia. Or Boku no Hero Academia, whatever you want to call it.
I see you're a fan of Boku no Hero Academia.
I don't know, am I? It's probably. It's number 3 on a list of 6, I would say so.
Yes.
But seriously, Boku no Hero Academia, My Hero Academia, is one of those shows that I shove down people's throats because there's something here for everyone. Even people who aren't fans of shonen. There's beautiful characters, lovely characters, beautiful characters, baby boys and girls all around. And if you don't love one of them, who cares? There's 60 more of them. But I'll let you know, you're gonna love every single fucking one of them you are. You're gonna love them all. So...
It's so true.
You got really intimate there.
Well, because it's very important for you to know that, people need to know that when they're going into a show like this, it's the first time in their life they're going to consider polyamory if they have not already.
Oh, damn. I need an adult.
But no, seriously, it's just a good show. It's got a lot of stuff going for it, a great soundtrack, one that I actually bothered to listen to, and that says something. It's got beautiful, beautiful animation at times, to the point where my brain doesn't understand what just happened on screen. And I might get to that a little bit later. Possibly, we'll see. And also the story is ongoing, but it's not going on where it feels like I'm going to be trudging through a million episodes and I'm going to hate it. If this show ends up being another One Piece, I'll stick along for the ride. I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah, me too. We're stuck in that now.
And I'll be happy I hopped on the ship early. So definitely,
Yep.
it's a great show and one that I think touched all of us this year, even if it didn't make all of the lists.
Mm-hmm.
So number 2, Made in Abyss.
Yep.
Yes!
I can see it.
So I watched this show because a friend of mine, Andrew, and his girlfriend sat me down one night and were like, because I wanted to show them Rakugo Shinju, but the website Crunchyroll was being a jerk and we had to go somewhere else. And he's like, well, why don't we try out Made in Abyss? It's on Anime Strike, RIP.
Oh, yeah.
At the time, it was on Anime Strike. Rest in peace. And so I started watching it with them that night, and I got hooked. And I wasn't expecting to, because this was a show that, Jon had passed, and he explained that he really liked it, but at the time, he wasn't hyping it to high heaven or anything like he is Land of the Lustrous. He was just hyping it just enough that I was intrigued, but not enough that I thought, this is going to be definitely up my alley. And I'm actually happy about that, because if there's one thing that I get worried about, it's when somebody hypes up a show for me and then I get disappointed, or I don't hold it to a standard that I normally would. Basically the Your Name effect.
We call this the Your Name effect.
Well, yeah, because a lot of people ended up not liking that movie, not because it was bad or didn't have anything good to show, but because of just how overhyped it was. And I'm eternally terrified of that. So I went into Made in Abyss thinking, this might be cute. And it was, for a few episodes.
For the first 3.
and then things go down a little bit more of a dark turn, which I'm a sucker for. But also in a reasonable way. Everything builds up as you go deeper, and it seems like you're actually going deeper and deeper on a journey. And hey, what is going to happen to an inexperienced, kid wandering into the wilderness by herself with somebody who's equally as inexperienced and confused, if not more so? Stuff will happen.
Stuff. Good or bad stuff. We don't know.
Also gave me an honorable Best Girl of the Year, which was Nanachi, and the only reason I didn't give her my honorable mention of Best Girl was because I'm not entirely sure if I should consider her a girl, and I didn't want to get flamed.
Yeah,
fair point.
Yeah, from what I remember, Nanachi was genderless according to the original creator.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot, and there's been some points that no real pronouns were given to her in the show, and they're right. I went back and looked, and they really aren't. I'm just saying there's some great characters in this show who are very memorable and some of my favorites of the year. It also gave me the scene, if we had a category that was scene that made you cry the most,
yes,
that would be this show. So I definitely recommend everybody please watch this show. If you are faint of heart, there's some stuff in it that that'll trigger warn you about early. There's some blood, there's some instances of death, things like that you could easily see why it is rated the way it is. Do not watch this with your children. It is initially very misleading. It looks like a children's show. Don't watch it with
No.
But yeah, this ended up, and after I watched it, I ended up being the Jon, recommending this show to freaking everyone for him, including him. Jon, did you finish Made in Abyss yet? Did you finish it? Cammy, you should watch everybody should watch Made in Abyss. The only thing, though, is that in this flip-flop with my number 1 a lot, because I feel both are extreme character pieces, and both are very story-driven. Problem is, Made in Abyss doesn't have an ending.
Yep.
Rakugo Shinju does.
Yep.
So,
standing ovation.
Yeah.
Standing ovation.
And so me and Cammy have the same number 1 of 2017.
Oh, yeah.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff. And also, I feel that as character-driven as Made in Abyss is, it's not nearly as character-driven as Rakugo Shinju. The full title that I did not look up, but y'all know what I'm talking about. It's Descending Stories Rakugo. And it's all about characters. If you want a character study, watch this show. That's what it is. That is all it is. It is a beautiful story, character piece. And as far as I'm concerned, it's a goddamn masterpiece.
Yep. Yep.
There's not a lot that I can say or talk about, and I think Cammie gave this disclaimer when she talked about this being her number one as well. There's not a lot of information that I can give as to why I love this show, specifically, other than it's just so masterfully told. Like, the last time I felt this way about a story was when I watched Monster. Like, there is not any episode that I could remove from Rakugo, and it wouldn't destroy the story. Everything is important. Every performance they have is important. There are little things that happen in season 1 that you see pop up in season 2, and you audibly gasp and you want to pause, but you're watching it with your friends, so you need to keep going, but then your brain starts functioning the wrong way and you want to cry and scream. And you realize that the show did that to you on purpose, the fuckers.
That sounds intense.
It's so good. It's such a good show. If you are going to watch anything from the last couple of years, please watch this show. It has a bit of a long first episode in season 1. That is kind of hard to get through. But once you get through that and just keep trucking along, I'm actually really happy that we started this podcast, because that might have been a show I never watched. And now I did, and it's an experience that I had with Cammie, and I wouldn't take that away for the world. I'm happy I watched this with somebody else, because I was destroyed by the end.
Yep.
And I just, there's not much more I can't say that hasn't already been said, except please just freaking watch the show. I feel like anytime somebody mentions the show, I'm like, just please watch it. I'm not going to tell you anything about it, just please watch it.
Yep, I will scream from a mountaintop. Oh, it makes me so happy that you're number 1.
Oh yeah, totally. And it another thing is it's a good example of when Studio Dean can really step up their game.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
It's just like, oh, these beautiful haunting performances are the same people who did the derpy faces on the Konosuba characters. That's fantastic. But yeah, that is my list for the year with Maid Dragon, MMO Junkie, Kuzu no Hankai, My Hero Academia, Maiden Abyss, and Rakugo Shinju, with some tiny little honorable mentions to Eromanga Sensei and Sure Children. That's it. That's me. I'm done.
Yay!
I'm done. We're done. We're done with our list for the year, but we aren't done here.
Oh, you showed us the light. But yes, for a little bit more light, we do have 2 more mini awards for you guys. The next one is kind of the second coin of the biggest waste of time. We have the Out of Left Field Award, which is the biggest surprise of 2017 that we each had. And so for me, I put down Recovery of an MMO Junkie or Netju no Susume. We have exhausted talking about how amazing this show is. When I was gauging my choice for biggest surprise, I think I gauged it in a show that I expected probably the least from. And then I just had the most to gain out of it, essentially. I remember perusing the fall season and checked out the PV of this show, and I was like, I think it could be okay, maybe, like, sure. I put it pretty low, and then it ended up on Cassie's list, and thank God it did, because it just charmed the pants off of me from day one.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Oh, don't you dare. Don't you dare.
And then it just, I don't think it even sets itself up even to do anything grand or be amazing, but it just is. And I love that sort of charm. It's just a small, sweet story that was just so charming and stole my heart. And again, it was like the highlight of my week while I was watching it. So yeah, cheers to that. That show is so good. Everybody check it out.
Yeah, probably the only reason why it wasn't my top list is because I haven't actually finished watching it yet, so need to do that.
Which I think it'll greatly appeal to you. And I think it's also important to mention that this was also my biggest surprise of the year as well, or one of them.
Yes,
and so me and Cammie mutually both, I think, just turned this on expecting something very okay and got something pretty great. And I think that that's very important. Very important.
But Cassie is also an angel and had another biggest surprise, and I will let her mention that now.
And I actually just went into this a few minutes ago, so I won't watch it too much. But Maiden Abyss was on my list for a reason, and that's because, like I said, I went into it with not exceptionally high expectations. The person who was initially supposed to watch it seemed to enjoy it, but it didn't really blow him away. And it just seemed like it was going to be a show that I would have to look and see. I was kind of interested and even watched it in the first place because it had those fantasy elements that I've really wanted in a show for a while. That sense of adventure, but I didn't know how well it was going to be done. And dear God, was it done well and great, and it's one of my anime of the year. So, well done, Maiden Abyss, and well done, Jon, for passing it, because I probably wouldn't have gotten to it for several years otherwise. So bless you, child. This has been one of my favorite animes, not even of this year, but also for the last couple years. So that's pretty high praise for it.
Mm-hmm. All right, Craig, what you got?
Speaking of high praise, we all know this show, high praise coming from a guy who does not watch much anime. Zach was the one that shouted from the rooftops about the show weekly and said he doesn't watch anime and he watched this stupid CG 3D show about rocks. And I'm like, okay, and it eventually convinced me to a point where it's like, you need to watch this. Yes, it does leave itself open for season 2, but from what I watched and what I gleaned in the character arc of Foss, I was enthralled, and I quite enjoyed it from start to finish. Again, I said it before, my top 6. I watched this over my vacation break over at my folks in the Midwest, and I watched it from start to finish on my iPad. It was pretty much, it was fun. It was a great surprise, and I recommend anyone watch it on the now defunct Anime Strike.
Yup. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Jon, what do you have?
I should also say, I was gonna say Leonard Lustrous myself, but Craig claimed it, so before I got the chance.
Lots of crossing takes here. It's all good.
Yeah.
Yep.
But this might sound a bit weird for me to say, but what I ended up going with for this award was Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid.
Woo!
I went into this series expecting something cute and lighthearted, and I got that, but I got so much more. This really surprised me with how much it grabbed me and how much I enjoyed it. It's just, and how heartwarming it ended up being. I mean, this one, it was actually quite low on my list. I think it ended up being Cammy's choice for the series, for the season.
Yes.
I believe.
Yeah.
And, yeah, so it's not that I completely glossed over it when I was looking through the season picks, but it didn't grab me as much as certain other series did. But then when I actually came around to watching it myself, I ended up, it was one of the things that I was coming back weekly to watch and keep up with as the episodes came out, even more so than pretty much anything that was on my picks for that season. And that's why I've put it as my biggest surprise of 2017.
Very nice.
Just how much I ended up enjoying it more than I was expecting to. So yeah.
I think you could definitely say that we all enjoy surprises, as each of these shows has been somewhere within our top 6.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
that, take that as you will. Another thing we like besides surprises is very, very pretty arts, which goes to our next mini award, the Easy on the Eyes Award, or the best artwork of 2017. And I'll go first. This was interesting because I was thinking about it from a sign of like art design, animation, both. There are definitely shows that I think have shined in a lot of different aspects. But when I thought purely just about the visual art, like the art style of it and the design, I went immediately to the Ancient Magus Bride, or Mahotsukai no Yome. And this might be a bit of a personal taste because I've always kind of really liked, especially when I was younger, I loved like kind of European, like fairy fantasy type visuals. So everything in this show just really, really appeals to me, like the nice little cottage that's like blooming with so many pastel-y flowers and all of the fairies and the little sparkly trails that follow them. And there's just so many imaginative creature designs and like the detail that goes into the tools and materials that they use. The color palette, again, is just stunning. I just love it. I should honestly go on one of those Sakuga blogs or like pretty artwork blogs and just find background shots that I could use like for my wallpaper on my computer.
Nice. Do it.
I think the show fits that bill pretty well. So that was definitely it for me. That's just very, very, very easy and comfy on my eyes. But then Cassie, you took this in a scene perspective, so I would love to hear your breakdown on this.
Yeah, because anime specifically... Yeah, I'm just going to say anime as a whole. Very rarely do we get something that's absolutely consistent across the board. You do get that occasionally. One thing that pops to mind is something like Your Lie in April, for example. I can't think of a single episode in my head that jumped out that was a little awkward, but you do notice that they do use a lot of stills in that show. The same could be said for shows that have very defining moments and then everything else is, kind of okay or mediocre. But then you've got something like this, which is a good show with decent animation, and then it just fucking blows your mind. And that is the Deku versus Todoroki fight, which might be a little bit of a spoiler, but this came out in, several months ago, so I'm hoping that it's not too much of one. There is a fight that happens between Todoroki and Deku. I'm not going to say when. I'm not going to say where. I'm not even going to say what the episode counter is. But I will say that at some point in time, they have a fight, an all-out brawl, and there is a moment where something clicks in one of the characters' minds to finally open up and let everything he has inside out and really grasp his power for all that it is. And it is one of the most beautifully animated things I have ever seen in my freaking life.
Yes.
And really goes to show that shonen shows, and this is from My Hero Academia, I probably should have mentioned that, shonen shows can have beautiful freaking moments like this. It's crazy. After that particular episode, the animation got a little bit wonkier, not as consistent, but before that, the show was very good. And I would even argue that the second half, while not as clean, was still really good. Yeah. But that one fight, that one goddamn fight, was just so balls to the walls, way more than I expected it to be, and it comes out of nowhere. There's just a moment where a character's foot hits the ground, and for the next 5 minutes, you are having a literal eyegasm. And and I can't gush more about that moment than I already am. So that was like my best defining animation moment of 2017. It was just so I can show people who've never watched Boku no Hero Academia that scene and make them want to watch the show. It's just so good. It's so good. It's so good.
When I was around when you were coming up with this idea or this suggestion for animation, and I was like, when shonen hits, it hits. And when they hit to the point where the animation bleeds off the screen and nothing remains but black and white, the hype goes through the roof and you're just like, yes!
Every decision that was made in that scene was just so good. From, like Craig said, the black and whites to how a character is moving their hand and then there's a freaking just explosion of color. It's just too much. I could gush for hours about a 5-minute scene about everything they did in it, and that says a lot. That says a whole lot.
And you can go frame by frame by frame, and it looks gorgeous.
Yep.
There are some scenes in other anime where you pause it and you'll get like an awkward looking bit of animation, which admittedly you're not probably supposed to see it as a still frame. It's supposed to flow, and as an animation it looks great. But the scene we're talking about here, like, you could still pause it frame by frame by frame, and you will see just gorgeous, 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 and just
it's like another anime. You have the Sakuga moment. This is the Sakuga segment.
Yeah.
Of the episode, and it's
Sakuga.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to link that Gigguk video now.
Yeah, why not?
Yep.
A really cool anime reviewer who we plug a lot did a entire episode about Sakuga and good animation. So we can really, I had no problem with us linking that. Sure, why not?
Yeah. All right, Craig, but hit us with your pick.
So my pick, easy on the eyes, it goes to a little gem known as Made in Abyss. At this rate, what can't be said about the show that we haven't already gushed about? I knew the show would be pretty, and the art design and the character models were chibi and cutesy, but when you get the opening shot of the town surrounding the giant pit, and the music that crescendos with this shot of the sun, it just, the art design, the world, the aesthetic is just clean. Again, it invokes a sense of wonderment, adventure, joy, and then you get into the pit, and then you see CG monsters that could inevitably present good or harm to you. So you're just like, hey, it's very clean, it's pretty, but that opening shot in episode 1 is what I think of, wow, this is breathtaking. I like this. This is a town I would like to actually explore. Forget the pit, I want to see this town. So, best animation, easy on the eyes, goes to Made in Abyss.
Awesome.
There's so many good moments of just scenery in that series as well.
Can I also just say brilliant artwork on some absolutely horrific things?
Yes.
Also?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Whew, boy. I mean, that's more merit.
Had some monsters that were actually hand-drawn and not animated in CG.
So, John, what is your best artwork of the year?
My Easy on the Eyes award, best artwork of 2017. Really, I've gushed about this so much already. Land of the Lustrous. There is so many people who saw this and was like, CG anime does not deserve to look this good. And my thoughts is, this is proof that CG anime can look this good. They put can in the work. Look gorgeous. Put in the work, put in the budget, maybe. That I don't know what magic pixie dust they threw at this series, but it looks gorgeous, and I will actually say it probably looks better as CG than it probably ever would have if it was hand-drawn. So the CG just lends to it so much. The characters are made of stone. They're like various different gemstones, and you see it in their hair. And just like, you've got moments where characters do shatter and break into pieces. Yeah. They get glued back together. Don't worry. Yep. No spoilers about character deaths. Just they get glued back together.
They get better,
but just how they shatter, and just it all just looks so gorgeous. And like, what grabbed me about this series was how pretty it looked, and just how everything moved and flowed. And then you've got moments later on in the series where it's like, by the way, you thought it was pretty before? Here's some more pretty. And just, it just constantly has these moments. Like, it's got some moments where it slows down, but then you've got other moments where it's just like, wow.
Yep.
There's just some phenomenal detail work there. When you say that it looks so much better as CG than hand-drawn, I think that absolutely shows the most vibrantly in the shatter scenes, and how they're able to pull that off using the dimension is just like incredible. Like when a character's face is partially shattered or something like that.
I mean, there's a couple of moments where it is hand-drawn, because I honestly don't think it could have been CG animated for those moments, but those are actually few and far between. And just, there's so much that the CG lends to this series that it plays to the strength of the series that I just can gush about this series and how pretty it is non-stop. And I think I've gushed enough as it is. So let us move on.
Why are my feet wet?
If you go on YouTube and you look up Daya running, you'll
brilliant
there
example.
You go. That's it. That's all you need.
Brilliant example. Daya running.
Yeah. But yeah, so Cassie definitely brought in a fun new element that she said we could take some time to mention. So my fellow hosts, if you have any honorable mentions to throw on your list as a tack on, we'll take the time to do that now. I can start again, just going real quick. The only one that I could think of as I was perusing my all the anime seasons is just Natsume Yujincho Roku. The sixth season of Natsume Yujincho was phenomenal, and just like built on, more things that I already really, really loved about the show. The opening was stunning. And it brought us, like, a giant plot cliffhanger, which not all the seasons do, and now I'm just waiting anxiously for the movie. So, good on you, Natsume. Thank you. And then the other one, I guess...
Natsume's Book of Friends, right?
Yeah, Natsume's Book of Friends. And then the only other one is March Comes In Like a Lion. Again, didn't really warrant a full mention as it was mentioned last year. But yeah, still just as quality and amazing as ever.
The funny thing is I was going to try and marathon most of it today to see if I could somehow slip it onto at least one of my lists, but I was like, wait a minute, it's coming into 2018. I can talk about it on our next year's list. I found a loophole. Because I want that show to finish before I can pass judgment on it.
3 years of Sangatsu no Lion, bless.
It'll never end.
Hey, I'm good with that. Yeah. But yeah, so those are probably my only two honorable mentions. Boys, what do you have?
In a stark contrast of what my top 6 list is versus what I picked for impressions and whatnot, I typically go with what is considered safe and tried and true because I watched the original. So I would say honorable mentions to Blood Blockade, Battlefront, and Beyond, aka Kick-Ass Sensen, and Beyond, B3 and B. Very fun show to get into the world of Hail Salem's Lot and see the organization Libra and their day-to-day lives. Season 1 focuses more on Leo, main character, but Season 2 takes a more entourage as approach to it, so that's very fun. Let's see, a show that we have not mentioned here that I've watched and like, I'll say Food Wars Season 3. I did not pass this show for the impressions because it's 3 seasons in, but I still wanted to give it a shout out saying that it's still strong and it's very enjoyable to watch. Yes, it's plot. It does have the plot, but also, damn, does it make that food look good! And it explains the science of it. So you just gotta take your etchy elements with your damn delicious looking food. So and Iron Chef, you really gotta get in for the tournament arcs of Iron Chef stuff. So yeah,
nice.
All right. So I did manage to think of two. Honorable mentions for me. Admittedly, these were the 2 series that were kind of competing with Fate Apocrypha for the 6th spot, and I was humming a heart in between them. So yeah, these were close to being on my list. So one of them is Recreators. I loved the twist on the characters coming out of various different works of fiction into the real world, as opposed to someone and going into a game world or some other more fantasy-like world. I love that twist on it, and just the music, and just there was so much hype in it, and I really enjoyed it. But there was a couple of reasons why it ended up just losing out to Fate Apocrypha.
Yeah.
And on a completely different spectrum, as it were, another series that I really loved, and was thankful that I did end up watching it, after it completely flew under my radar last year, was New Game Season 2.
Hey, nice.
Good show.
I really enjoyed this. Lots of fun characters and
Cute as fuck.
cute as fuck. Yes. Very pretty as well. I believe the animation for that was really consistent throughout. That could have probably been easy on the Eyes Award as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, just I really enjoyed that series as well. So yeah, those are my two runners up.
Nice.
Awesome.
Honorable mentions, rather.
Awesome. And that said, man, this has just been really fun. I've honestly really enjoyed just being able to wrap up the 2017 anime year with you guys.
Yeah.
And I think it was a lot better than I just thought in retrospect. You know, like when I think of the year, objectively, I'm kind of like, I don't know, but yeah, we had some really quality stuff come out.
For sure, right?
Yep. So now, as a podcast, we say goodbye to 2017's year. Thank you for all the goods.
And good riddance for all the bad.
Good riddance for all the bad. And all of us, I know, are looking really forward to what 2018 has to offer and what we can offer you as another anime podcast.
Woo.
So with that, stay tuned. Next week, we are going to be bringing up our winter 2018 impressions. They're going to be delivered in kind of a new fun way, so definitely be psyched for that. I know I am. And I think all of us are wishing you a very happy new year, and thanks again for listening.
Peace out, yo. Oyasumi.
Peace.
Bye bye.